Hey guys, this is Wroztee, and today I'd like to welcome you to the second episode of my Skyblock series, where we've so far managed to return from the Nether, then set up a temporary base on the default island, as well as made some basic farming operations, like a cobblestone generator, a tree farm, or a small crop farm. And then we've gathered everything we've had and moved to Y0 of the world, where our real journey will begin now, as we'll build all our future farms down here because some of them will be more efficient when built as low as possible. And today we'll start with one of those, being the mob farm. And by that I don't mean any ordinary mob farm like you've seen in every other Skyblock Let's Play, as I've designed a simple automatic flushing mob farm that you can actually build quite early in your Skyblock adventure, because it doesn't require any redstone at all. And now, let's get to work. The first thing we need to do before we start is something I totally forgot to do in the last episode, which is making an infinite water source. At the moment we only have one source block and one bucket, but we can easily generate another source block using a simple trick with some bone meal. But we quite unthoughtfully used all our bone meal in the last episode to get some wood and crops. So we'll have to start by making a composter and probably recycling some of our... yeah, these warped blocks will do. So let's see if we can get lucky and get the bone meal with just 10 of them. And awesome, we've got it after 9. Now we can get rid of the composter and store it in our chest for some later uses. But right now let me get this pumpkin and quickly shove it into the chest. And also pick up some of these items that we've got lying on the floor after the tree. And let me get a bucket, grab the water, and now we'll have to build a small enclosure for the water to flow, so that we can then bone meal the flowing water to hopefully generate some seagrass. The seagrass is a waterlogged block, which means that the block itself is a source block, so that we can pretty much make infinite source blocks this way. Yeah, something like this little pocket will do. And use our bone meal. And we've generated seagrass on the bottom of this hole, so there should be a source block. But for now, let me just pick this one up and move it somewhere where we'll later use it to make the infinite water source. Grab some slabs, and I think behind the ladder should be a nice place to put our water, as it will pretty much be in the center of everything. Or maybe even under the ladder, so that the source block is exactly in the middle of the world. But now let's grab the other water and let's make it infinite. Well, I actually thought that the middle block should turn into the infinite water, but I think it's probably because of the block above. Or no, probably because that we're so low in the world that the water tries to flow down instead of to the sides. But it's just really weird behavior. So, a lesson for you all. You actually can't make an infinite water source at Y0. You have to be at least one block above that. So I've made this temporary enclosure right here, which we'll probably redo later as it's not really practical right now. But right now let's get to something a bit more important. So I'll grab some of our wood and turn it into pressure plates actually. I'll also need some fence gates, so let's make some sticks. We'll need 7 in total, so I think, yeah, we'll need 28 sticks. And we have our fence gates. Then we'll also need to make a boat. And also some torches, so that nothing spawns on us while we're building the thing. Let's get some more coal cooking in the meantime. And let me quickly take down this monstrosity right here, so that it's not in the way. Let me also quickly make a crafting table, because we'll need it when building, to craft some stairs and slabs, which I don't want to make right now, because they'll clutter my inventory quite a bit. And as you can see, I've mined quite a bit of cobblestone since the last episode, so we'll need every slot in our inventory we have. But for now, let's get going. We'll bridge somewhere a bit further from our main island so that we're not too close to it when we're on the main island, so that mobs can spawn here. And let's make a small platform here. These 3 blocks in the middle will be the ones that the mobs will drop on. And now let's start heading to the skies. We'll begin by making the falling shaft for the mobs, which we'll make out of simple slabs, just to cheap out on blocks a bit, as we'll need to make 22 layers of these ribs, which takes quite a bit of blocks in total. And now that we're up here, let's make a small platform for the tube that will filter out the spiders and make them fall a bit further from the tube, so that they won't climb up and reset their fall damage. Place fence gates on the end to stop the water, and also 3 fence gates in the place which will be the middle of the tube. And let's open all of these so that mobs can go through them. You can also use signs instead of all of these, but I think that fence gates are much better to work with, as you don't have to place them on a surface. And now let's finish the spider filter by creating a roof for it, which leaves just 1 block of space in there, so that only the spiders can go through. Next we'll create the channels of water, which will take the mobs into their corresponding tubes. So there's a 3x3 right here, and 2 8x3s on each side of it. And also let's create a spawning platforms, which will be 2 blocks above the channels, so that mobs can't jump back up on them once they're flushed down. These will be 8 blocks long, which makes them 19 by 8 blocks big, which should hopefully provide us with enough spawns so that we have enough items for everything we'll want to do. And now let's start working on the walls, so that no light can go in and mobs can spawn in there freely during the day. On the sides of our spawning platforms, we'll place a row of stairs which are spawn proof and water can flow over them, and they are also efficient at blocking the light coming into the room. This will ensure that all of the too high mobs will get flushed down, and some of the stubborn spiders will get drowned. But that's actually quite a rare scenario, as most of them will also get flushed down. Now with the walls finished, it's time to create the roof. We'll again make this out of slabs, so that nothing can spawn on it, and we'll leave a 2-block gap between the roof and the floor, so that all our mobs can spawn inside and we get no endermen. Now we'll need to make a few extra special layers on top of the roof, which will be there to spread the water from a single point to both sides of the spawning platforms to flush all the mobs. We have to do this because we don't have access to any redstone right now, so we'll have to use a cycling boat as our clock, which will run over pressure plates and activate a trapdoor that will let out the water. But since I don't want to make multiple of these clocks in this farm, we'll have to spread all the water from a single point to all the sides. This all means that we'll have to put a wall around and a roof on top of this whole part as well, because we really need to isolate the spawning platforms down there from any light that might come from up here. I'll try to cheap out on the walls as much as I can, so that the roof will have this quite weird shape, but it is all made out of slabs, so it is cheaper and also spawn proof as a bonus. Now I actually found out that during my preparation I actually miscounted a bit, and I had to get down again and get some more cobblestone, believe it or not, so that we can finish this farm and get it running. Apart from that, I also harvested all our farms, so we got a bit more wood, some pumpkins and melons, and I also crafted a trapdoor, about which I totally forgot originally, and also grabbed our water buckets, so that we can fill in all our water channels to later flush the mobs down. And I also prepared a place on the roof for our boat clock to go on. So now let me quickly waterlog the trapdoor that we have here, from which the water will spread onto all of our spawning platforms. And let's make a railing out of slabs around this whole platform so that the boat won't go out. So now let's place in all the pressure plates and the water. We'll need to place 3 pressure plates right here, with one of them being on the block next to the trapdoor, and then put water in there. we'll need to make an infinite water source up here somewhere, so let me get the water out of the trapdoor for right now and create it right here so that we can fill both our buckets. And now let's get rid of it and return the water back into the trapdoor. And also place the second water source right here, forming a cycle through which the boat will go and activate the pressure plates. And we can put in our boat. The switch up there is off right now, so that the water won't go out. And as we can see, the water has successfully spread and covered all of the spawning platforms, so that when the farm is off, nothing can even spawn here and clog up the mob cap. I'll just mine all of the cobblestone that we placed in to easier put up the tube, but we don't need it right now as it will just make the mobs unable to fall through the tube. Next I'll need to create the platform for the spiders to fall on, where we will collect the drops from them. Then I crafted some ladders and raised a pillar with the ladders on it to get up and down from the farm so that we can turn it on and off, as we need to turn it on and off by flicking a fence gate on top of the farm, which at the moment prevents the boat from cycling and triggering the water system. I actually made a small whoopsie while raising this pillar. I built it one block off, and I admit it looks kinda weird right now, and we'll maybe move it sometime in the future. And now we can just open this fence gate and by that turn the whole farm on. So when we go down, we can already see some mobs falling through and dying down here, providing us with their drops that we'll definitely use. And we can quite easily just place some slabs down here manually to make it so that the mobs survive their fall and are 1 to 2 hit kills, so that we can use this as an XP farm, or maybe in the future episodes to get some zombie villagers out of here and cure them. And as you can see, the spider filter is working already. And now we have another grind in front of us, killing these mobs and getting all their loot. At the moment, the most important thing for us are the zombie drops, as potatoes will be quite useful as a food source, and also some iron ingots to combine with the redstone from the witches to make a piston and push a grass block from the island above down here so that we can have some passive mobs spawn down here. I've been killing the mobs for quite some time right now, and I totally forgot to mention that in this map, zombies actually have a chance to drop gravel, which is very useful for us right now, as we can combine gravel with normal dirt. 2 and 2 for 4 coarse dirt, which we can then use a hoe on to turn into normal dirt again. So we've just made dirt renewable. And we've got our dirt collector advancement. Now we can actually go ahead and expand our farming operation, which is at the moment quite small, so we'll move it right here so that it isn't in the way that much. We'll make the farm be 9 by 9 at the moment, as water can hydrate farmland up to 4 blocks away, so 9 by 9 is the optimal size for the maximum water placement efficiency. And we've got a visitor on our island. Let me kill you quickly. And let's see, where did you spawn? Are there any logs left in the skies? Doesn't seem like it. So probably on this block, yeah. It only has the light level of 7, so mobs can spawn on that. Let's quickly fix that. And now let's get some bones. Make bone meal out of them, and bone meal some of the potatoes we've got so far. And now let's go ahead and cook some of those, so that we can use it as our food source, because we're kind of running low on hunger right now. I mean, we could use some melons or maybe apples, but this is a way more sophisticated way to get food. And let's continue expanding our farm. Then fill this 5x5 with potatoes, as they are the most useful right now. So let's bone meal those up, so that we have enough to fill the entire 5x5. And now let's fill this part of the field with carrots. So let's get those and place them right here. Also probably this row, so that we have the carrots in a 4x5. And of course I'm off by a single carrot, so let's bone meal these ones up and put it down here so that we have the whole row. And also obviously put in the potatoes, as I just harvested them and didn't put them back in. Then add one more row of dirt on this edge, because we'll plant pumpkins and melons on this side, so that they have somewhere to grow on. And place down one more row of carrots and potatoes, so let me get those and plant them down here. Then 2 rows of normal seeds to produce us some wheat, in order to breed some animals we might get in the future. And the last row I'll probably make out of just pumpkins and leave out the melons, as they are quite useless at the moment to us. And bone meal all of those up so that the pumpkins can grow right away. I always hate bone mealing these so much because it's so difficult to click on their hitbox, because it's so tiny. Oh, and you can see that this one already actually grew. That's quite lucky, to be honest. And now we can remove our old farming field, because it is quite small and we won't use it anymore, because it's really in the way. And another thing I wanted to do in this episode is set up a sugarcane farm. I will build this up right next to the normal crop farm, and also make it a 9x9 just to keep things uniform. And I'll use the usual grid, in which each water source has 4 dirt blocks around it, so that we have maximum efficiency. Well, except for some of the ones on the sides, where I replace some of the dirt with water, as we have this odd 9x9 shape. Oh my god, how is it that I noticed these things just now? I've been talking about keeping things uniform, and I've built this farm 2 blocks over than it needed to be. So let's move it then. Thanks to placing slabs, I can luckily recover most of the items back, so that we can reuse them on the other side. And as you can see in my inventory, I already have the iron ingot from the zombie that we'll use later in this episode. And we've now also got our redstone, so that we can later craft the piston and move the grass block from the island above. And we've also got some mobs spawning around here on the farm, on the pumpkins. So let's quickly snipe those off. Please fall down, man, I don't want to fight you on these platforms. And probably just add this simple torch to keep things lit up. And let's convert all of the coarse dirt in the sugarcane farm into normal dirt, as I worry too much about the details and want this to look better, even though we're building everything else out of just cobblestone. And let's waterlog all of the stairs, so that we can put in our now just single sugarcane. But let's waterlog all of the other stairs as well, because we'll definitely expand this farm a bit more in the future, when we get more sugarcane, because we can then trade the paper to librarians to get some emeralds. And the last thing I want to do right now is to grab our redstone, our iron ingot, some wood and cobblestone, and craft our piston. then I'll probably need just a fence gate and also a lever, and we can head up to our starter island. Oh, I also should probably move the lava from up here down sometime in case we ever need it. But now let's remove this block and place down our piston. And we can activate it with the lever to push our grass block. And then just fill in the gap with some blocks and push it again until we have it exactly where we want to. Which would be around here next to the cobblestone pillar for easier manipulation with the blocks. So now we just place the fence gate on top of the grass block and start pushing that with the piston. We have to place the fence gate there because when we place the piston above it, it will have a chance to turn the grass into a normal dirt block. So all our effort will go to waste, which we obviously don't want. And now let's start pushing that until we get to Y0. Let's create a small dirt platform around the grass block so that it has somewhere to spread to. And now let's push it the final few blocks. So again, fence gate on top, then a piston with a lever, and start pushing that. And one more block, and now we're done. We have grass at Y0 and passive mobs can spawn down here now. So let me just remove this cobblestone. And that's about everything we'll do in this episode. I'll now just again go ahead and gather more of the resources we have at hand in order for us to use in the next episode. But for now, leave a like if you enjoyed this one. Subscribe to my channel if you want to continue watching this series and seeing what I do next, as the subscription doesn't cost you anything and you can unsubscribe at any time. And see you next time!